Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
May 7, 2020, the Corruption is Now Legal edition. And we start off with that, our case article from the Wall Street Journal. The Supreme Court threw out the Bridgegate convictions, saying that not every corrupt act by a state or local official is a federal crime. The Supreme Court has literally gutted the U.S.'s ability to now bring politicians to justice for criminal acts they've engaged in terms of bribery and corruption. And this case is just stunning, most particularly because it's a 9-0 decision. So you really can't blame it on left-wing, right-wing Trump appointees, Noah Trump appointees. But together with prior tossing of cases, it's clear that corruption is now fair game in politics, and you're not going to be prosecuted at the federal level for it. So you can expect the Trump administration to bring out the dogs in terms of their extortion demands. Next up, from the Washington Post, an article by Alan Sloan as to why Boeing did not take federal bailout money. If you're into irony, that's his starting sentence, and it really sets the tone for the entire article that basically Boeing did not want transparency or oversight, and they did not want anyone looking at what they were doing. Obviously, they're one of the most poorly run corporations given their track record over the past few years, not only from financial performance, but obviously the 737 MAX Uber fiasco. So, frankly, as a taxpayer, I'm glad that we're not bailing them out, even though they would have gotten oversight from the U.S. government. If they can't do any better, they need to figure out a way to do so. And hopefully the financial institutions that put the money up will influence them to do away with the toxic culture and actually do something right for a change. Next up, from the New York Times, and this one is very, very personal and very, very pleasing for all podcasters out there, which is that the American Life, once a pioneer in podcasting, won the first Pulitzer for podcasting. The American Life, put on by Hourglass, it's one of the great storytelling podcasts in podcasting, and Hourglass is obviously a great journalist. If you've never checked out The American Life, do so. I check them out on a weekly basis. It's great storytelling. Congratulations to Hourglass and his entire team, and to the podcast industry. It's our first Pulitzer, so let's celebrate and pat ourselves on the back a little bit. Finally, from the ESPN, the NCAA has charged Kansas basketball program with egregious and severe rules violations that significantly undermined and threatened the NCAA collegiate model, including both Coach Bill Self and assistant Curtis Townsend, who embraced, welcomed, and encouraged Adidas employees to influence high-profile recruits to sign with Kansas. This has been known for some time. Kansas, of course, vehemently denies that they've done anything wrong, but this is just devastating to the Kansas program, and we can only hope that the NCAA will actually have some backbone this time and do something, put some sanctions on Kansas. Since they haven't won anything, they can't strip them from a title, but they can sure hurt them recruiting going forward and get the message out that the NCAA was not going to tolerate this. But it's the NCAA, and of course you have to play the song Bring in the Clowns, because they are the biggest clownish operation around. Coming up on this month's edition of The Compliance Life, I visit with Ellen Hunt. She's the CCO at AARP. We're going to have 4 episodes on Ellen's journey up to the CCO chair and beyond. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.